What's up, guys? In this episode, we're going to talk about a few business owners that have a few challenges hiring the right people. They keep leaving, or the right people are being hired, and they're kind of getting wishy-washy type of talent as opposed to A-player talent. And we have actually hired over 1,000 talented individuals from Latin America and around the world, and we're currently helping our clients get connected with the best talent in the world and in Latin America. And that's why we're going to tell you a few things that we have learned by talking with these business owners, that they go through all this trouble about finding someone, and at the end they either give up or they blame the person, or they don't know what to do, they don't know who to reach out to. We're going to give you all the gist in this episode.
So how do I, because I'm actually very new in like the industry of hiring people, especially remote employees. So how do I know if an employee is an A player or like somebody that's going to give me a headache in the future? Because interviewing someone twice, it's not really going to do it.
And no matter how many skill tests and personality tests you'll do, you'll only find so much about them. It's really when they actually start working for you, right? It's that first 2 weeks. An A player is not just a high performer. It's someone that's going to go above and beyond for your company. It's a great culture fit. It's someone that shows you that they're here for the long term. They want to move up in your company. They want to eventually manage or lead. They're having conversations with you already about the future when they're just getting started, because they see the vision and they're part of the mission of what you're doing. And a lot of people, they come in, they're clocking in, clocking out. And the two issues is, one, they might be a high performer, which is fine, which is, by the way, that's good, but they might not be an A player. The more likely scenario is that they're not a high performer and they're not an A player. And then you're keeping them because they're very nice, they're kind, they're culture fit, and you feel bad about firing them. And I've had that. I still have that because I'm not a bad person, and I've been fired, and it's the worst feeling in the world. And I've also had to fire people. And a lot of times business owners, we feel guilty because we feel like we're responsible for this person's life. But the reality is, they're not our family. We are not responsible for their life. We never met them in person. And what we have to do we have to do what's best for the business, not just what's best for Bianca, but what is best for the business. And what's best for the business is an A player that's also a high performer.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of like doing business between other businesses. If you hired us, you didn't know we were going to perform at the end of the day, right? However, we did show you the full stack of credibility. We showed you that our core values were what you were looking for in an individual. We had enough evidence of that. We also did a proper process to walk you through everything that we do. You fully, I don't know, maybe you saw some testimonials, or you saw that someone else used it and you were referred maybe. So if you take the same principles in an interview process, so for example, a few things that I never miss now in an interview process. I never miss asking questions based on core values, which are going to show me and tell me whether they're going to be a true cultural fit of the things that I want. So if I want them to be going above and beyond, I'm going to formulate questions of how they've gone above and beyond without telling them, I'm only going to hire you if you shoulder this, right? So I'm going to formulate questions about that. If my core value is learning every single day and becoming better every single day, I want to ask questions that is going to expose me. If they're taking courses, watching podcasts, going to seminars, maybe taking an extra education in university, or they're all the time watching YouTube videos, all the type of things. And I want to be able to hear that without telling them that that's the reason why I want to hire those people, or that's what part of the reason why I want to hire them. Another thing I don't miss is, now I ask for referrals. I ask for reference. So tell me the company that you work with, and someone high up or the owner of the company, so I can talk about business. And 1 or 2 references is good. Sometimes you can find that reference yourself, right? By reaching out to the business owner, and a lot of business owners are willing to action to that. That's like really, really good in order to understand whether that person is really amazing.
And a great question to ask before that is, if I called your ex-employee, what would they tell about you? What would they tell me about you? All right, cool. And then I'll get their number, and then we'll contact, hey, they said this. And then literally, we almost hired a person internally. And then when we contacted their employer, we found out the complete opposite, right? So it wasn't they were talking trash about the person, like, oh, they were awful. It was just what we were looking for as fit. It was not a fit. And I'm like, that's interesting, because we did not know that. So it's something that you have to be very picky about that type of situation.
Yeah, and I also I want to make sure that they're capable of going through our filters. Like if they've gone through the recruiter filters, which recruiters will have a balance between being hard and being easy. Like they'll have a balance between making it smooth for the person and making it as friction based for the person. So that's the first filter, but you also may want them to do certain tests, certain quizzes, or go through a role play, for example. And if they show up during the interview process, and if they're in sales, and you want them to show up as confident that they can follow maybe your directions, or maybe follow a script if you give them a script, or they can just show you how they did it in the previous job. That's just sales as an example. You will have a sense of how they're gonna do it, right? Even if you're not a sales expert, right? And there's so many ways to actually do the same thing for other roles, like
Video editor.
as video editor, programmers, developers. Like there's so many things you can do about it, or you create something custom. If they actually are A players, they're gonna do it, right? And they're also gonna ask you for feedback right after that, right? They're gonna really ask you that, hey, how did it do it? How did it do? How can I do better? They would want to maybe apply that feedback right after that, gave the feedback. And I mean, ultimately, those are a few things that I would totally look for on any player. Right?
I have this position that I have two people that I couldn't decide who to hire. Even your team are like, we also don't know, because they're both really good. But one we find has more skill, more knowledge, more experience, and can do more things. But the problem with him is he doesn't want to, he feels like his line of work does not require like using screenshot monitoring, those kind of things. And then he wants to be working on his own time, own pace. The other one is a little less experienced, but a little less maybe in skill, but is willing to do whatever it takes and always saying like, I'm good with that, I can do that, I can do that. Which one should I hire?
That's a good question. I like the person that is a lot more capable. I like that, but you also want to be careful, because if the person wants to work on their own time and their own schedule, it becomes what you create is a toxic environment where you will hire someone that plays their own game that plays your game on their rules. So imagine if we played Monopoly, but you played Monopoly by Monopoly rules, but I played however I want. I'll roll 3, but I'll take 7 turns, right? That's very toxic, because what happens for two things that happen. One, you have to be careful of how it impacts your business, and if they actually deliver results and so on and so forth. But the bigger issue is, how are the other team members viewing this? How are they viewing you as the leader that let this happen? And then they're like, wait a second, if they're doing this and they're working on their own time, they're not using HubStaff, why do I have to do that?
Right.
They feel very unfair, and then that becomes a toxic environment. And then the worst part is that you don't find out until it's late, or if the manager somehow tells you, because they start, the worst thing is when people start talking behind your back and you don't know what they're saying. Right. Like right now, they can saying good things or bad things, right? I always say the definition of character is, what are people saying about you when you're not around?
Right, yeah.
So like here, when I'm like, yeah, Bianca is one of our clients, they're like, oh my God, they freak out, because it's like, it gives us the most like clout, which is great. So that to me speaks about your confidence, right? But if I was like the opposite, I was like, Bianca's the client, they're like, oh, never mind. That would be a horrible thing. So then think about that as a leader. What do they say about you as the leader, as the captain of the ship? So I would be very careful about letting someone play the game with their own rules.
Yeah, and also it all depends. If they're bringing something up like that, did they bring it up beginning when they were about to get hired, or when you hire them just the first day, the first second day, or are they bringing something up like that, like already random the job?
Yeah,
right? It's two different things, because when you give them the responsibilities, the requirements that they have, the results, like the non-negotiable, like you give them a scorecard, like you give them the entire description of what they need, roles, responsibility, tasks, everything, and they go through it with you or your HR person or your manager, and they accept, like they agree, like this is an agreement, like this is
a contract
done. Like, for example, I've worked in companies where they don't do like, let's say for example, like a screenshot monitor or they don't do like certain things. But I do have to clock it. I've worked in companies that they have a rule that if you're if you're outside of the building like for X amount of time and you don't have an assigned thing, like that's not a bit, it's a non-billable type of work.
Yeah.
So there's different rules about those companies, and even though some companies work differently, like they also need to respect that we have created an environment that is controlled, right? It gives them obviously like everything that they need in order to be successful, and for us not to be like, we don't want to be that leader that is autocratic and that we're like a kid. We want to be a good leader, but also not so flexible that they can do whatever they want. Like we want to be right in the middle, right? At the end of the day, I create leaderships where I'm not autocratic. I'm not like the most flexible, so people can do everything. I want to be right in the middle. So you create your own culture for your company, right? And you set certain standards. Sometimes you're going to find that certain standards need to be raised. Like for example, you don't accept this anymore from people, or this is not something you will tolerate anymore. Right? If you see this behavior, or you see that something was not being done, that is like a no-no for your company. You set it as new, and every single employee that you would have after that will know that, right? But the ones that are already in there, definitely being very careful on how we set tone, because it's like, guys, we are leveling up as a company. We are ultimately becoming better. We want to get to the next level of our company. Only the greatest of all of you will remain here, and the reason why you guys are here is because I believe you guys are the greatest, and because we're also raising the bar in our company, and certain things are changing, and they must change. They must happen through time, through growing the company. These are the new things that are gonna maintain us always working with the best people. But that's the new bar, and because that's the new bar, and I feel honored to be part of this with you guys. This is how things are gonna be going. So we're gonna all agree into this. This is the way that we're gonna do it. And you can do that, with, I don't know how big your team is, but you can do it individually, and then as a group where everyone all there comes down as a whole and agreed. We did one mistake was that we're gonna impose a rule to everyone at the same time, but we didn't speak with each individual person, where you can get agreement with each individual person first easier than as an entire country, right? So we did a mistake like that. So, at the end of the day, you can ultimately speak with that person that you're trying to, let's say, put together a system to track things better. There might be some things that you might be lenient to negotiate, or might be lenient to, or flexible to do, and that you put it across the entire company. But that person needs to understand that our standards go high, our bar goes high. We are a premium company. We only work with premium people. We only work with A players. So if you want to continuously be in this route of growing, this is what needs to be done. This is how it sets it up for the next people to come in here. And you're probably going to be managing or leading some of those people. So that's how I would handle that situation. And again, set the proper expectation at the beginning, and resetting the expectations is two different scenarios.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I agree. Like that's something that I'm trying to learn also, is like having to set my expectations. Sometimes my expectation is higher and I don't communicate it. And that makes sense a lot. But yeah.
Leila Hermosi says this a lot. Have the lowest expectations for people ever, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
It's true.
It is very true.
And also, I was speaking with the CEO that runs a $40 million company.
Yeah.
He was talking about a certain framework. It's a triangle framework. And I'm not going to go in detail about everything that goes inside of a triangle, but I'm going to go outside of the triangle. You grow a company massively by having three layers on a triangle. Leadership creates the communication system that creates the culture. And that culture creates other leaders. So if you as a leader don't level up, if your leaders don't level up, if you as a leader don't really have a standard for yourself, an expectation for yourself, and then you create a communication channel, like a really good communication channel, where that message is delivered well, right? Written communication, speaking communication, maybe video, whatever, like the way that you're gonna, communicate it, and you create systems to always be aligned. Then, if that's not done properly, it's hard to create a culture that you want. But if that's done properly, then you start creating that culture that you do want, and then people will understand. People will only accept the right people. Like if you hire someone and it's not a good fit for your company, they're gonna let you know. Like we have a lot of employees right now that they know what we want. They know exactly what we want as an employee. So they don't want to lose, or they don't want to have colleagues that are like B players. They only want to work with like savages too.
Because they want to be there. They're part of the vision, but they also, when we hire someone that is not helping, they lose money. Because the way we create our bonus structure is that you get your bonus, but you need your team to help you. So if we hire someone that's not good, guess what? That hurts your paycheck. And I bring that up. I'm like, dude, didn't you want to go on vacation? And then like
maybe their role is also connected to how the client complains, how the client react and lose the clients, how the pressure that is around, the atmosphere, the negativity, right? Like I had to let go of people just because they were negative, they were pushing, and like, okay, I'm gonna work with this person, I'm gonna coach them mindset wise, but if that doesn't happen, it's gonna start affecting other people in the team. They're gonna be like, he's always complaining, I don't feel good anymore, like it's always like tension in the meetings and things like that. That lowers their performance. They start feeling bad about being in companies, so automatically they're gonna tell you like that person that shouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
So
cool. That makes sense.